Hey guys, welcome back to the Path is Path. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about reclaiming your power through inner child work.
What if healing your inner child unlocks a version of you that you don't even know you've been missing?
So let's dive in and meet that younger you gently.
Ooh, gently. I don't know if I was that gentle though as a kid. I was definitely a bit rambunctious.
Where are you now? Why am
I
I not
was
surprised?
definitely getting myself into all sorts of trouble.
Let's talk about the troubles, Kiki.
Oh no, leg scrapes, not listening to anybody. Yeah, that was me. I was climbing trees and getting myself into all sorts of mischief. Such an angel.
Of course, I can see it. You're radiating angel around. Your auric field is like
Like
angel.
Halo. He's just hanging with his side, a little stylish.
Love it. Love it. So, we're talking about our inner child. So now, have you ever had core belief that you picked or that you had that still runs in your life today?
100%. I always think the answer is going to be no. Always. Always, always, always. If I were to go into like an interview, yeah, I'm feeling like confident. Like I know myself and I know whatever it is that I'm interviewing for, like I know my field. I've been in this career for however long. But I always am like, well, they might say no. Because no, was something I heard a lot of being as rambunctious as I am. Don't do that. No. So yeah, that would be something I would say is still like deep within me. Like I always think that the answer to whatever it is that I'm asking, it's always going to be no, or I'm going to be met with disappointment. That's yeah. And it's kind of sad because it's like, why are you meeting everything that you're doing with negativity, with scarcity? Because that's all that you're doing. You're holding yourself back because you're coming from a place of scarcity. So why is it not like, yeah, I got this job. Yeah, I got this podcast. Yeah, I got this sale. If you're meeting it with this positivity, then things tend to change. And because I have done some inner child work, yes, I'm healing every different stage of my inner child because you've got toddler Kiki, you've got college Kiki, so you've got the teenage years and the early 20 years. Like all of that is inner child work, and working through what triggered you, what created this trauma, and why you're still kind of like holding on to it. So because I've done some of that work already, we're never ever fully finished with working on it, but because I've done some of that work already, I now know, like when I go into like an interview or something like that, I have the confidence that I need in order to, be a boss about it. Like I'm not going to be met with negativity. And even if you meet with negativity, shing, here goes positivity. Shing, here goes positivity.
I can see you but not the armors being like, "Wow, why? No,
No,
bitch, not today.
not today.
Not today, Satan. You ain't getting up in this shit."
Negative. Negative for you, positive for me.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to wish negative on anybody anyway, but
Satan. We're that one. We're not, for no
yeah,
bad juju.
but when you look back at the story of Satan, look what happened. He was good and he went bad. That was a choice, but you still don't wish bad on anyone.
That's
After
true.
that, they make their own decisions, right? Like the angels, the wings were clipped and the whole storyline, right? Like, so if you look back at that, he wasn't bad at the beginning, right?
Body or any entity is just bad. I think that things end up getting warped. Even when you come across, like, when people are talking about like evil spirits and stuff like that. Some trauma must have happened in order to warp that good human heart into something that it's now, what kind of entity that they are. If you look at it like that, like in everyone, we've got good and we've got bad. So I'm just gonna, because I love myself some anime and stuff like that. So like I love Demon Slayer is one of, like the newest ones that's out and everything. But what I had really liked about his character is that one of the demon slayer persons in the core or whatever was saying, why are you protecting this demon, or why are you showing this demon empathy, like he has killed so many people, and he's like, don't you understand that they were human once, and now they have been warped into something different, and he was coming from a place of scarcity. This particular like demon that he was dealing with wanted a family. Something had happened and he was trying to create this family, and his sense of family became warped in trying to hold everything together, and what one person's role was and the other person's role was, and trying to, I guess, make what he could make out of this situation, make the best out of the situation that he found himself in. So if you're looking at it like that, I think some people who like an animal that's scared and lashing out because they've been in the wilderness and they've had to struggle to like get a meal, or trying to cross like the highway or something like that. Like that's like they try to attack you because they're in survivor mode, right? They don't know what they can trust. So I think that kind of goes hand in hand with just human beings and maybe even spirits on another plane.
Yeah, like it goes back to what you're saying. Like, I don't think that anybody is born bad. I think that like we're all born like with the white light, and then from there things happen to us and it makes it, badder. And, I think that the bad guy was once good a guy, and then circumstances happen along the ways where they made them like be the bad guys, because now they realize that being too nice got them to be walked all over themselves and got them to be used and abused, because unfortunately they didn't learn how to not get themselves abused anymore, right? Because there is a little bit of like, okay, well, I'll always get used, right? Like a little bit of that victimization where it's kind of like, okay, well, instead of working on it, I'm just going to continue with this way, because, it's kind of like this TV show that I'm watching right now. It's like the bad guy says he's a bad guy because he's always fucking up, but it's like the Vampire Diary, right? Like, how like Damon, like, of course I'm rewatching this series. I don't know why. But like how like Stefan is like the good brother, and then like how, Damon is like the terrible brother. And it's kind of like, whoa, everybody says that I'm bad, so I might as well keep it that I'm bad. And it's kind of like, but instead of victimizing yourself, you can change that, right? Like, so I don't know. But to think about myself and like to kind of circle back to to the question that I was asking you about, like your core belief that you had at that age, it's like, yeah, I get where you're coming from, but I didn't have that though. That wasn't mine. And around that age, mine was more like watching my aunt having her business and seeing how like being a business, an owner of a business, how difficult it was, and how even though we had months that were great months with great amount of money, other months were just like, oh my god, like we were struggling, we were eating the same meal for the next week, right? And I was like, is this what it means to be an entrepreneur? Like, is this what it means to be? I'm like, I don't want this. Like, so my core belief was that I used to think that, oh my God, how much I've grown. It's crazy. I used to think that working a 9 to 5 was like the way for a while. And it's crazy that I used to think that way, right? Like, I used to think that security and like having a 9 to 5 and having a stable paycheck and having, all the medicals and the IRA, like the tax and like having all that stuff taken care of was like, yeah, there's like this net of like security. And oh my god, I laugh because 2019 is when I started to change my mind, but I didn't know it yet at the time. I took a course to like learn about like functional health medicine coach to become a coach, and it was a whole year training program. And at the time that I had got the certification, I graduated in like 2020, but I was already like on my way in 2018 to that. I was already looking for a course. I already was like changing my mindset. But then I started seeing on social media how like everybody was like a coach of some sort. And I was like, oh, I can do a social media and be a coach. And so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna join the hype of like social media coach, blah blah, right? Like I thought that was gonna be the thing, but I don't know why. I didn't really focalize on that. I felt like that coaching was more for me internal, and then now that I have 6 7 years of knowledge out of everything I've gained from when it started to today, I'm like, oh my god, I can actually help people. So it's so funny to see myself growing up with my aunt that was a business person, and I'm like, I don't want to be. And now, like, I used to think society was cool, and then now I'm just kind of like, no, you know what? I think I'll go back to doing my own schedule, my own thing. Is it harder? Yeah. Is it fun? Yeah. Is it daunting? Yeah. Is it challenging? Yeah. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, the list is long of why the pros and the cons, but at the end of the day, is it worth it? Absolutely. I would do this over and over again. I don't care how hard it is. Experience that I have in all this, and I think that that's like the most valuable thing that I can help people with.
That's beautiful. I love that. Love, love, love that. But it's like that, it's that fear that we got put into ourselves, because again, it's just coming from a scarcity mindset. We're like, well, if I don't get a paycheck from this 9 to 5, how am I going to feed myself or my family and take care of them? That reminded me of Shia LaBeouf, homeboy from Even Stevens. I remember he had shared a story. Dad was like a hot dog vendor, and if they didn't sell the amount of hot dogs that they needed in order to, you know, be able to pay this bill, that bill, put food on the table, guess who's eating the hot dogs at the end of the day? They were. So just like you had said, like we were eating the same thing over and over again. As soon as you said that, I thought about that story just came into my head. I was like, "Oh my god, I remember about that one." So I completely understand where you're coming from, uh again, it's just coming from like a scarcity mindset. We get that fear put into us about, well, if this doesn't work out, then what the hell am I doing here? So then we get complacent in what we're doing.
Where do you even begin, right? Like it's so much where you're just kind of like, okay, it's not fair that we have to pick up the pieces and choose to heal and choose to overcome these traumas and these patterns and these lifestyles. Like it really comes from us truly doing this work. It's frustrating that we have to do this work because it's like, fuck, man, right? Like my parents didn't heal themselves. So instead of blaming them for not healing themselves, or instead of blaming them for not teaching us differently,
Whatever it is that you like feel like you needed in that time. Yeah. And they were also doing the best that they could with the knowledge that they had. They're like, well, this is how we did it. This is, how my mom did it. This is how my dad did it. And so I'm just going to continue on this cycle, and
but it's not because your parents did it that way that it means they did it the right way either. So there's a thing. It's like your parents did it in the survival way. It doesn't mean that you have to follow their footsteps. So there's another thing too to like understand and learn from that. Just alone be like, okay, they didn't heal. You have to heal yourself. Okay, cool. But it doesn't mean because they somehow made it doesn't mean that there isn't a lesson to be taught here for either one of us, right? Like, or our listeners too. But just overall, it's just kind of like like just relax, and we just have to like heal ourselves. We can't keep passing the baton from our parents and be like, well, they did the best they could and they weren't given the opportunities that we're given today. And we decided today, you and I, and hopefully our listeners, we've decided to break this cycle.
yeah, exactly. It we we're always talking about the fact, like, why am I the one that's doing it, right? It's always like, you didn't do it, I gotta do, why am I the one, right, that has to like sit down and do the work? Apparently we chose it with the soul contracts and everything, but we chose it, right? We were the ones who were like, okay, this how things have been going in our lineage, things need to change. And it is, I don't want anybody to feel like burdened by it though. And I don't want it to feel like it's a task. It's not, because getting to know yourself is a beautiful thing. Knowing what your boundaries are is a beautiful thing, because it helps protect your energy, it helps protect your power. And then you are a better person when you go out there into the world. Like you can give from your cup it is no longer empty. It you have to find the light at the end of the tunnel. Like, it is a beautiful thing. Yes, you have to work on this, but it puts you one step closer to knowing who you truly are. And what if people are like looking for their purpose, it is another step in finding out what your purpose is. Like, if you've been sitting here and you're just like, well, I don't know what to do and I'm feeling really lost, do that inner work, because that helps you get one step closer to yourself, to loving yourself, to accepting yourself, to accepting others, because that is also a form of beauty. People being authentically themselves is a beautiful thing. Roll is kind of like rolling me into, like, when we're coming from a place of scarcity, we start realizing like little things that we've been doing, that it kept showing up in your life as like self-doubt or like people pleasing. When was that like time for you, or what happened in order for you to be like, yeah, this is what's happening?
Like, it has me thinking of like our wounds, right? Like, when did they first start showing up, like, and what were they? Like, how do you, for me, I know like people pleasing was a huge one for me. Empathy. I was a huge empath for so, I mean, I'm still an empath, but now I know how to control it better. Now I know how to say, okay, this is not like, I have empathy for you. I feel sorry. I'm here for you. I'm crying with you. Like, you have my attention. Do you need me to do anything? I got you. But at the same time, you also learn how to control that is no longer your energy. You can be crying over the breakup or over the heartache that you went through, whatever, right? And I can sit here and have compassion and empathy and sympathy and all of the above, love and the whole shebang. Person's energy to carry, not mine, right? Like, you have to give back that energy, because it's like, you can't feel entirely everything you're feeling, because this is for you to feel. This is your lesson. This is you, for you. I feel it in my own way, in my own healing, in my own trauma, my own body. That's how I can sympathize, and that's how I can empathize all of that. And being a self people pleasing person, which is empathy, is mostly where this comes from. And it's difficult to let that go, because we feel like if we're not there for that person, we feel like if we're not showing that, then we're a bad person. If we're not crying when the other person's crying, or if the other person is crying and we're not touching them, or we're not doing that motherly, nurturing thing, then we feel like we're bad people. But it's not. You can totally be there with somebody. I remember when I was taking my certification for peer counseling support, one of our instructor used to teach us that, like, you can be there for someone in the same place. Like, you can sit next to somebody or in the same room as somebody, and they say to us, it's like, if you're sitting in the same room than that one person, does it mean that you're still supporting that person? And so they had people answer in the classroom, and most people are like, well, no, you're not really doing anything, you're just sitting there. But that's still supporting somebody. You don't necessarily have to share words with somebody. Just being in the room with somebody is sharing energy, and that is huge, right? Words are one thing, energy is another one. And then hugging and touching and sharing, tears or joy, that is another one too. So, like, sometimes we feel like we need to touch, we need to like reach out, and sometimes ask people, when somebody's crying, just ask them, can I hug you? Because they may not want you to touch them. Like, that could be a trauma response for them. They could be like triggered, be like, oh my God, you're touching me, you might hit me. They don't know what you're gonna do. What you want, all you want to do is hug them because you feel bad, right? But ask. Like, so these little things are huge in this whole, for me, people pleasing word. But by taking that course and that certification, I was able to like understand how like people are living in traumas, and it's like, you can't just jump to the conclusion that because they're crying you can go and touch them, you can go and like hug them. That was a wound that I found in my childhood, and what I am now able to control better. And I don't want to use the word control, because I don't think I'm controlling anything, but I can see it, manage it better by saying, okay, this is not my energy, this is not my empathy, this is theirs. I can be there, share it, but I'm also giving it back to them respectfully, with love and kindness. And I no longer want to carry this. And then just learn to walk away from it. Sitting in silence is also a beautiful one.
It is. It is. And I completely agree with you on that. And it took me some time to learn, actually, at the beginning of Reiki, because that, just like you, I want to go over and console someone. I want them to feel like, okay, I am here. Here's your shoulder to lean on, to cry on, whatnot. like let's talk it out, whatever. Sometimes allowing that person to say their piece and being there and holding space for them is all that they really need. Is all that they really need. You Some people prefer physical touch, and I do like the era that we are in right now where people are asking for consent to do certain things. So I do like that as well. Like, hey, I am going to hug you right now, or would it be all right if I hugged you right now? Like, I appreciate that so much. Like sometimes it's same thing. If I am in my feelings about something and I'm like really engrossed in it, don't touch me. I don't want you anywhere near me. I just need to work through this and I need to just stay over there. That's it. That's all I need. And it took me quite some time in order to know that, but I was not privy to that kind of like information, I guess. And I love that. I do. I want to say it was like a self-doubting thing, like not trusting my own voice kind of thing. It was me not speaking up. So one of the things when I started this journey working on my throat chakra, one of the things that I always have a lapis lazuli with me, and I'm always like, okay, and I set my intentions and I manifest the fact that I am speaking up. Like if I was in a classroom and I knew the answer to it, I still wouldn't put up my hand because I was like, it could be wrong. That was me self doubting that I knew the answer to whatever question was being asked. How many packs are in this? And I'm like, yeah, that's totally got like 10 packs in it. And I'm like, I'm not going to answer. I'm going to leave it for somebody else to answer. So it was not trusting my own inner voice and not trusting my intuition or my knowledge. That is, yeah, that's my self-doubt from childhood that's like leaked its way into my adulthood, and I am dealing with that nonsense.
I mean, can we talk about how many times we don't listen to our inner self until you start getting to the point where it's like, okay, no más, basta, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I hear you now. You know what I mean? Because like at one point when I start shouting at you, it's like, okay, now I remember when I was really young, and this is sidetracking a little bit, but like I remember when I was really young, one of my childhood best friend had trying to commit suicide, and I felt it. We were supposed to meet up that day and she ended up by skipping school. I felt it. My stomach felt heavy, like I did not feel good. I mean, I was literally sick that day because I'm like, that's not like her to not answer me, to make plans and not show up. Like something was, but I that was one behavior that was weird, was that. But the second behavior was the fact that like my stomach, I just had like a weight in my stomach and I was like, this is not right. So I ended up by, unfortunately, I didn't have a choice. I ended up by calling her mom and I hadn't heard from her. So I was like, what's going on? And I ended up by talking to her mom and I was like, listen, I'm like concerned right now, like really, really concerned. She calls me like later on. So her mom reached out to me at like 7 o'clock at night, something like that. She was like, yeah, we found her. She was trying to commit suicide and everything. Oh my God. That whole day, I did not feel good at all. So I ended up by hanging out with another friend that knew my other friend. It just, the day was off, like completely off. Weird, weird day. It's like, I don't know, man. And then when her mom called me and she was like, yeah, she just got administered to the hospital and she was like on hypothermia and she was like jumping in a lake. And I mean, then again, at the end of the day, it was a call, cry for help, blah, blah, blah. And anyway, but I remember that was my first heavy intuition call that I got. And I was like, oh my God. And then over the years, I kept getting more and more and more of them. But like when we don't listen to them, and that was a heavy one at fucking feeling this shit at 14, 15, 16 years old, feeling this, knowing that something is happening to your childhood best friend. Do you know how fucked up I felt like when I saw her at the hospital? And I remember being like, and from what I remember, and this was years ago, and I was like, dude, next time you're trying to kill yourself, I'm gonna kill you because bitch, you put me in this situation. I'm pissed. Like I was fuming. Right. And that was me talking out of anger, obviously, because I felt like the energy, like I felt it. And I was like, this was fucked up. So I was really angry. And I think I think she knew that. I mean the point, but she also had her reasons, obviously. But the point is of all of this is that like not listening to your gut intuition, when you're at that young and then you get older and then other experiences happen and you're just like,
But that also comes from the fact that nobody said, "Hey, if you're feeling a certain way," who in your life said, "Yeah, if you're feeling a certain way, you might want to ask yourself this question, or you might want to ask someone else this question so that you could get this result. Nobody told us that. Unless you have that person or like that elder that is helping you along that in that path, you do not know what your body is doing. So you're confused as it is. You're scared, you're confused, you're angry, you're sad, you're happy. You're like, what the hell is going on? And who do you turn to? Like, if you get your period, who do you turn to? You can turn to somebody who's female going through the same thing, mother figure, aunt, what grandmother, something, right? You can turn to them and say, "Hey, this is what my body is going through." But how do you explain what you were feeling to another person? And then that person have the knowledge to help you with that.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation, obviously. I mean, I don't want to say tricky, but like it's a confusing and complicated situation to be in because it's like when you're gifted with this intuitions and these gifts that you have, everybody has it. Most people don't listen to it. And the people that do listen to it are like what, 20% of the population, maybe even less than that. And then those people are awakened and those people are working through this. So those people know. But how many of those 20% in the entire world do you know that's part of your circle? You can be like, hey, auntie, grandma, sister, brother, like, hey, can you help me with X, Y, and Z? Because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. How do you, like, how do you soothe that younger part of yourself going through all this shit? How do you soothe that? What are the things that you do for that?
Yeah. And you also have to feel comfortable being able to talk about certain situations with people too. Because even sometimes people don't want to talk about it because they feel like they are going to be met with a no, or you're crazy, or you don't know what you're talking about, or I don't know what you're trying to explain to me.
Or just neglect it at the end of the day?
I don't know. I don't know.
How did you soothe yourself when you were younger and you were feeling through your people pleasing phases? Like how were you at that younger age? How were you able to like bring her back to like serenity? Do you remember?
100% because I still do it even in this day and age, at this age.
Share. I want
Ah,
to
oh
hear
my
all
God.
about it.
I will say one thing. I am very happy I was born a Pisces because when I tell you the imagination is wild, it is. And I've always had a really deep connection with music. So music is always going to be my go. It's always my go-to. Regardless if I'm sitting down and listening to like chimes or like Gregorian monks chanting, because that's very soothing for me as well. But that's where I go to every single time. If I am feeling out of sorts, it's always music. Music has always been able to ground me in everything that I do. The other day, I was running around doing errands. I shared this story with you. I was running around sharing errands, and I was like, "Well, how do I feel today?" And I was like, "I feel really good." And I was like, what do I want to listen to? And all of a sudden, I started hearing Candy Rain in my head, and I was like, oh, Spotify, figure that channel out. I was in, I don't know, like 80s and 90s R&B, and I was just bumping to the music and singing. I took pictures of the music I was listening to, and I sent it over to a friend. That's really what always helps to ground me, and doing arts and craft kind of thing. So I was very intentional with what I was going to be wearing for this podcast. And I decided to wear my fun earrings. They're all different colors of the rainbow in here. And I was like, I'm going to let my inner child out to play. So I'm going to go with colors. I'm normally in black. I put on something purple, something bright, something that made me smile, and then music. If I'm working with my hands, or if I'm wearing really bright colors, that's just something that kind of that grounds me and gets me back into that nice, loving, funny Kiki that you see right now. How about you? What kind of, do you do something, what helps to soothe you?
Music, just like similar to you, like music for me. I didn't. The thing is that it's crazy because when I was a child, I remember listening to music, but I didn't remember listening to like, like I remember my family in France was like, because I was born in the United States, but I'm living in France, and they're trying to like make me listen to like American music, so like the Beatles and like all of like those type of music I was listening to when I was really young, right? And I was like, okay, I remember listening to music, but I don't remember much of it. But I remember being really artsy when I was younger, drawing a lot and painting. Like I remember doing that and being very curious. Like I remember like doing like science thing and like learning about the Egyptians and the pyramids and those were like my huge interest peak at that age, especially like 8, 9 years old, like even 10. I was like so into that. But music, and now coming back to, I mean, you remember when we were in our Reiki master class, we had a lot of classes that were online, and then we had like classes online, and then we had classes in class where we had to go and meet like a few times a week and whatever. And I remember, like, every time we had music, I would fucking be the only weirdo crying, remember? I'm like, I'm always crying. I was like, "Why am I always fucking crying?" But I didn't realize that well, at the time, obviously, I didn't realize, and this was, like, 2023, so it's only 2 years ago, but I hadn't realized how deeply connected I am with music, and now it can literally go on anything in the sense of, like, I can be listening to, like you said, Gregorian monks, chanting to Tibetan sound bowls to like just namaste ohms to trance music, like it could be literally ecstatic dance music. It could be literally anything besides like what the music is playing like on the radio and stuff like that, which I refuse to listen to. I listen to feel good music. That's what I call it, feel good music, because it's whatever feels good to my soul right now. And like sometimes I have different playlists. I have my ecstatic dance, my meditation, my sacred medicine plant list. I have my trance when I'm just creative and I'm on the computer and I have to like create content or be super focused. I just literally like zoning in and I just have those music. So depending on the mood that I'm feeling, I'll just use that, but sometimes I'll just play one type of music and I'm like, no, this ain't working for me today. I listen to this music too often. You know what? I gotta change it. We're gonna go to, I don't know, whatever. We're switching this up. This is not working for me right now. Right. I still love the music, but today it's not aligning with that. So music is definitely part of it. And then dancing. I've been reconnecting a lot with ecstatic dancing. And just like I said, I will have a music playing and I'm like, and I start moving in my chair or like start going, I was like, oh, I'm feeling the beat. And I was like, okay. I was like, all right, you know what? It's time to get the fuck up. Let's go dance real quick. After 15, 20 minutes or whatever, sometimes longer. But normally I take like a short break and then I'll go back to my office and start continuing working again. I'm like, this felt good. This is where my inner child needed to work. But at that time, as a child, I don't really remember much of what I used to do at that age.
We live and we learn and we grow.
Very true.
How we've like noticed things, how we've grown and everything. Is there anything that any tip that you can leave our listeners with that, reground themselves, soothe themselves, that allows your inner child to have like a safe space?
What I would say for somebody who's looking to get into that space would be to say, like, okay, what is it that you did when you were younger that made you like happy or like you were on top of the world? Once you find whatever that is, was it running around in the yard barefoot? Was it using the spray the hose and hosing yourself, your brothers and your dogs and whatever? Like was it doing something with the water? Was it painting? Was it music? Was it whatever it was, reconnect with that emotion or reconnect with that sensation. And then the next thing I would say is trying to see how does that resonate today in your body as an adult at the age that you are today. Ask yourself, okay, I found the happy moment that I had when I was a child. I found that moment, right? Was it spending talking to my mom, talking to my whatever that was, going to the library, playing music, horseback riding, biking, whatever. Once you find what that is, trying to ask yourself as an adult, like today, okay, do I still feel aligned with that today? Could I still do this today and still feel like that would bring me joy? And if you think that that's a yes, the answer is like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I could go back bike riding again, or maybe I could play football again. Be careful if you're older, like But and then kind of go from that aspect and then try it. And then the third thing would be like, okay, try that and see how does that emotion feel again. Does that, and then once you try it again, if you can, ask yourself like, okay, how did it feel? Did this feel like it was just as I remembered it when I was a child? Did it feel different? Obviously, it's going to feel a little bit different. Did those emotions spark up again? Did that bring you back joy? Did that bring you back sadness? Like, and then kind of like weight those options and see. And I think that that can really like help you to start tuning you listening back to your inner child, right? I think that's important, to listen to what your inner child, your voice that she's carrying for you, because again, as I always say, our bodies are constantly talking to us and we're constantly getting signs from left to right. We don't pay attention to that. And most of the time, our most obvious one is the intuition, which that's where our inner child lives in. And we need to honor that voice. So these would be the few steps that I would tell you to take in order to regain back to your steps, to your inner child. What do you think? What would be your steps?
I'm definitely aligned with you in what you just said. All of it, all the in-betweens, everything. What I would like to add to it or just build on that is that sometimes uh just like how you were saying, like when you were doing something when you were a child and how that brought you joy, and like how does that make you feel right now? Sometimes you were doing things that brought other people joy and we thought that that was bringing us joy. So it goes hand in hand, honestly. Like the things that were bringing you joy as a child, was it really from a place where you were really happy with it, or was it because somebody was really happy with something that you were doing? So let's say that you like dance, but your parents put you into ballet, but really and truly you wanted to do what other kind of dances are out there? I don't know.
R&B, hip hop R&B.
Yeah, you wanted to do like hip hop R&B. You wanted, pumping your chest and all that that stuff. Doing cartwheels. I don't know. But so ballet brought you like it it fed your need to move, your body to move as a child, but it mainly pleased your parents because of the form that you were dancing. And so maybe yes, dance is what makes you happy, but what kind of dance is making you happy? Do you need to go venture down more of like folk dancing? Do you need to do more of the hip hop dancing? Like, do that kind of research. So it's the same thing that you said, and just making sure that the waters aren't muddied is what I would say. That's how I would put it. Make sure that the happiness that you were feeling is really your happiness and not happiness that you were taking on because, again, you were people pleasing or you were doubting yourself in that moment.
Absolutely. And yeah, and that's part of the reason why I was saying that, like, to retry that thing today, like to retry to do it again, because for two things, because to see if you're still aligned with how that felt, but also to see if, like, again, like you said, like, was it because it was giving from, like, my parents wanted me to do ballet, but I wanted to do hip hop or an R&B, or like I didn't know, maybe it's misaligned, maybe because it didn't come from you, maybe because it came from somebody else's, you know, uh, traits, or, somebody else's input into that versus what you wanted to do. Because I did that. I did ballet, R&B, hip hop. Like, I've been there, done that. You know, it was fun while it lasted, but now I do exciting dance. So you see how they're completely different from, is it still dancing? Yeah, absolutely. It's a different form, but I'm no longer doing ballet. I'm no longer doing hip hop and R&B. I can't move that way anymore. I mean, I can if I really wanted to, but I'm not going, and I don't feel like I want to go back in that place anymore, but I do want to move freely and move more into an ecstatic flow. So that's where I'm coming from now.
We're going to wrap it up here today, guys. Today, we met our younger selves, named old beliefs, and practice soothing rituals that plant new seeds of confidence.
Pick one question you heard and spend as long as you want journaling or drawing that memory,
If this moved you, please leave us a review so more listeners can reclaim their power.
and share it with someone who needs that gentle reminder.
Stay weird.
And stay wild.